basically why we are doing so basically why we are doing what we are doing is to enhance kita punya training skills lah. Tapi this is apa? So whatever I'll be sharing with you are some things that I picked up from all of those other trainings that I've been through, namely Money and You and Instructor Trainings Program. Okay, so for those who have not heard about this program, this is the same program yang Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, Azizan Osman, who else? Half Acre, they all went to the same program lah basically. Alright, and I went through the basic one, yang biasa punya, and also I went to the Instructor Training Program. It was an 8 months punya training program. So I attended that. A bit of context, I attended bukan sebab I nak jadi trainer. So it was more to support the trainers. So but for me to be able to support the trainers, kita pun kena faham what the trainers have to go through, and we have to go through what the trainers have to go through. So from there kita picked up lah a couple of skills, myself and Shirin. Okay, so basically we'll be sharing a lot of content from there. Okay, so kita also believe in giving credit where credit is due. So whatever I'm sharing with you is taken from there. Okay, nothing tak ada apa yang kita come up sendiri. And I'll also be sharing maybe a few things that I picked up from my NLP learnings from Azan Chulan. Okay, so it's all from there lah. And any of you, you can also contribute in terms of sharing. Wherever you see ada value, you just can also add to the body of knowledge lah. But again, my request is that kalau kita add, kita acknowledge or we credit where the source is lah. Boleh? Alright. So, being a trainer dekat KVS ni, one thing yang kita nak set ourselves apart is that we need to have to take the position atau the role is not just as a trainer tau. Basically, this mastery session is not to only develop your skill set as a trainer, it's also to develop your skill set as a leader. Because you will see that if you take a look at all the best speakers, all the best trainers in the world, they are also a very good leader. Setuju tak? Kan? And if you can tengok all those trainers who are purely trainers, dia lain sikit daripada those people yang they are a trainer at the same time they are a leader. Betul tak? Okay, so what we want to achieve is the second part tu. So it is also an exercise lah, a leadership punya exercise. Okay, okay?
Okay.
Alright. So, kita akan tengok the training in two context. Boleh tak I share screen? Kimmie. Okay, tunggu Kimmie allow me to share screen. Okay. BNI KVS entered waiting room. Ada orang nak masuk? Shirin kot?
Yes, Shirin. I dah accept.
Alright. Okay, so basically in our mastery punya session ni, kita nak tengok training in two context. One, kita nak build up the technical skill set. So which means the technicalities of being a trainer. Macam apa, mata kat kamera, macam how you manage music, macam your intonation of voice, macam you punya pause fillers. These all technical skill sets lah. Alright. And the second one we are going to cover or we are going to touch is what we call the beingness. Okay. Apa you faham pasal this beingness?
That you are physically and mentally there.
Alright. Lagi. What do you understand about beingness?
How you carry yourself.
Right. Okay, awesome. So beingness is you lah, you. The person itself. The being. Kita. Right. So being a leader is being, it's not becoming a leader. It's not pretending to be a leader. It's being a leader. Being a trainer. So the beingness. So kita akan juga touch on that. Boleh? Right. So these are the two things that kita akan touch. Alright. So for those yang pernah attend or pernah participated in our mastery session before this, there will be no slides. Okay, I have no slides to prepare, I have no slides to present to you. But what we're going to do is kita akan buat macam ni lah. As and when kita ada points, kita akan jot down the points on the spot. Boleh? If this were a physical training, I akan pakai flip charts. Boleh? Alright. So, now, before kita begin, maybe kita boleh set the expectation dulu of the room. So, why did you participate? Kenapa you nak participate in this particular session, this particular mastery program ni? What is it that you're looking for? Boleh tak kita share? We go around the room? Boleh?
Boleh?
So that kita boleh manage everybody punya expectation?
Boleh?
Siapa nak start?
Okay, let me start. I would like
Right.
to see different perspective untuk jadi seorang trainer, dan for sure lah I nak tambah skill set. Thank you.
Okay, next.
I'll go. Basically, it's upskilling for me because I think as a trainer, you can apply it to any part of your life.
Next.
Myself, Romzi. Apa nama ni? I nak alamak, to upskill ke? Upskilling as a trainer to be like apa nama ni? To master the skill of training, to influence people lah.
Right. Next.
Fatima, I want to become a good leader. I want to be a good leader and I want to know how to communicate effectively dengan I punya orang-orang I lah, dengan I punya team.
Alright, nice. Next.
Okay, I think untuk diri I sendiri, I would like to learn more. I've always wondered macam mana all those trainers up there, especially macam Tony Robbins tu, dia boleh sampai ke tahap yang sebegitu. So I want to learn more. Macam mana nak jadi macam tu? So that's
To be at same level with Tony Robbins, Boleh?
Okay, Syukri.
Okay.
Saya just nak belajar sesuatu yang baru dan melihat teknik-teknik yang terbaru dan terkini lah berkaitan dengan penyampaian, especially through online presentation ni.
Okay. Siapa lagi?
Isma?
Hello Isma, Isma di situ?
Macam ada panggil nama saya ke?
Yes.
Ada. Yes, welcome.
Saya, sorry terlambat masuk, baru sudah habis Yasin dengan grup sekolah tadi.
Okay. So what is your expectation from this our mastery program ni?
Okay, alamak. So basically Isma baru lagi, so nak belajar.
Apa dia?
Dengar tak suara?
Dengar tapi pecah-pecah.
Okay, so basically Isma nak belajar lah cara macam mana nak handle kata crowd, handle training dalam kata especially bila online kan. Dia lain sikit bila kita physical tu. Jadi itulah nak learn lah, nak belajar lah.
Alright.
So dengan harapan sebab Isma pun sebenarnya to be honest memang suka bercakap sebenarnya. Tapi kalau bercakap tak ada isi kandungan, tak ada info, tak boleh juga. So Isma nak belajar lah macam mana kita dapat terus bercakap walaupun pada ketika itu kita lost, kita tak ada info dan macam ni kita nak come back to audience lah, macam tu lah. Isma selalu lost kat situ.
Okay, alright,
You.
awesome. Okay, so this is basically your expectation. Thank you. So kita pun ada expectation kita juga. Boleh tak kita share our expectation? Boleh
Silakan.
Madam Shirin ada expectation ke about our trainers ni?
Kenapa dia touchy kat I?
You're muted, tak dengar?
Tak dengar? I'm
Okay, dah dengar.
Dah dengar dah.
Tak, selalu memang best je time macam ni saya cakap saya. Saya baru je masuk hari ni. Okay, so my expectation untuk team KVS ialah kita jadi the benchmark of excellence in terms of content delivery and effectiveness.
Alright, thank you. So my expectation from here.
You forget the effectiveness.
Mana? Kat mana?
The benchmark
benchmark
of excellence in terms of content delivery and effectiveness. The effectiveness is the beingness. The content delivery is the. Thank you.
Kenapa ada Isma punya waiting room ni mengacau saya punya screen?
Ada dua
Dah admit
Isma.
dah? Dah admit Isma ke?
Dah.
Saya nak masuk dekat laptop, sorry.
Okay, so my expectation is similar to what Shirin said. Itu dah is a given. That's why before kita ada benda ni, we had a conversation dengan Shirin dah. It's basically to see our trainers to be macam Shirin kata lah, is want to be the benchmark of the BNI trainers ni. It also to see everybody in this room to show up as a leader lah in your own chapter, respective chapter, and also the region. So we believe by being a good trainer, you guys can be a very good leader in the region. Okay? To develop our trainers to be excellent leaders in the region and be the Australia kata be the benchmark. Okay, tak payahlah. Alright, so this is basically our expectation. Boleh So later I will share lah this slide with you. Hold on, let me save dulu. KVS trainers.
Boleh tambah sikit tak sebelum kita mulakan Tuan Ali?
Boleh.
Nanti you all on paper tak payah declare. Just on paper right now for the next like 1 or 2 minutes. Just write down 2 benda je. Boleh ya? Before we begin our session hari ni. The first thing is what do you expect out of this training? Expect Tadi ada sana share tadi kan? Tapi just what do just write down, tak payah declare, what do I expect out of this training? This is for you. You can tulis. Please write it. Don't type it. Please write it. Jangan type ya, tulis. This is the first tool we are sharing with you. Kalau nak buat apa-apa, tulis.
Maybe you want to share why?
Kenapa kita tulis ya? Sebab kita punya satu badan ni dia tengah berkomunikasi. Dan kebanyakan daripada most of our intentions is trapped in our subconscious. So when we write, we are communicating with our minds, we are communicating with our eyes, we are communicating with our heart, and our hand becomes the tool to execute apa yang sebenarnya we want to put everything together. So if you're not writing, you're not connecting all yourself to your intention. So your intention satu adalah what is your intention? What do I expect out of this training today? Itu intention you. Okay. So in the process of today's 1.5 hours, I dengar Tuan Ali kita 90 minit So you can tulis juga, what do I want to create for myself? 2 benda Satu intention, you datang ada intention. Dalam proses 90 minit ni, what do I want to create for myself from this training? So ni macam you are designing your own learning today. Okay, when you say what do I want to create for myself, means you are designing your own learning today as you are receiving the training. You in your head you are designing what you are going to create for yourself. Boleh dua perkara tulis lepas tu simpan diam-diam, kita boleh continue. Terima kasih.
Okay. Alright, thank you. So, everybody's good? Shall we proceed? Okay, so basically sharing cover lah the first thing that I want to mention here today. So this is basically to cover the beingness. Satu is the intention. So over here you declare your expectation kan, also your intention, betul tak? So when you conduct your training, dia sama juga, kita kena pasang niat. Macam kita punya agama lah, you perasan tak kenapa nak puasa pun kena niat? Pernah terfikir tak? What's the logic behind that? Siapa nak share?
Supaya ianya lebih teratur dan semua.
But why do we declare sahaja aku berpuasa pada bulan Ramadan? Why do you have to lafazkan dia? Why do we have to niat? Kenapa kita tak boleh puasa je? Sama je kan kalau ikutkan. Tapi kenapa kita lafaz? Kenapa kita pasang niat?
Dia macam ada end goal.
Right.
Dia
You
macam
pasal-
affirmation.
Alright,
Affirmation that kita kena
awesome.
buat.
So you perasan tak sometimes kalau kita lupa niat, kita nak go through it susah sikit. But bila kita pasang niat, kita nak go through it mudah sikit. Especially bila kita budak-budak kita tak perasan kan. But as we go older, then kita akan slowly, benda ni dia sebab kita dah selalu buat, it's subconscious tau. But if you take a look at it, sebenarnya bila kita set intention, we are actually programming ourselves to achieve that certain goal. That's what we are doing. Kalau ikutkan NLP, we are programming ourselves. That's why kita pasang niat. We are setting intention to subconsciously program ourselves to do it. So kalau kita niat nak semayang, kita lafaz niat tu, insyaAllah dengan niat tu, supaya kita khusyuk lah basically. Supaya kita punya solat tu sempurna. Lepas tu kita pasang niat. So kalau kita niat tu tak betul, kita boleh, kadang-kadang kita punya solat tu pasang tak? Kadang-kadang solat kita pun macam tu juga. Sebab kita punya starting tu tak betul. Niat tu tak betul. Nak cepat, nak laju. Nak catch time. Tapi kalau kita niat tu betul, dan kita nampak kita solat tu lain sikit. Pernah perasan tak? Alright. So anything that kita buat, kita kena start dengan kita punya niat. Intention kita. Boleh? Alright. Sama macam training. When you are conducting a training, for example, Romzi, hari tu Romzi conduct training BNIC. What is the intention dia conduct training BNIC tu? So, macam some of you will be conducting other forms of training kan? Maybe referral skills training, maybe weekly presentation skills training. Ask yourself, what is my intention? Okay? Boleh? It can be for whatever reason. Because the intention is your intention. Boleh? So far, are we clear about this? Alright, so you set yourself, your intention. Next, you set what is your intended outcome. So for every training that you do, always bear in mind apa yang you nak the participant dapat. What is the outcome you want to create? Alright? Okay. Believe me this, if you were to attend any training or for example, if you were to be tiba-tiba you dijemput jadi speaker. Pernah tak anybody tiba-tiba dijemput jadi speaker? Okay, kalau you tak pernah, pergi clubhouse tu. Ada je orang ajak you jadi speaker kan? So, if you practice this, bila katakan you naik atas, orang tanya soalan, you set your intention, you set your intended outcome, and then you will see the words comes out of you naturally. Betul tak? You tak payah nak be scripted sangat. Are we good on that?
Betul. Okay, good.
Alright. So similar dengan BNI training, you all dah pergi TTT kan? So our invitation is when you take a look at the content that you nak deliver tu, take a look at the intended outcome of content tu, apa yang dia nak you cakap sebenarnya, apa yang you're supposed to sampaikan sebenarnya. If you are able to get that, then the script is secondary. You tak payah ikut script dia orang tu. Yang pentingnya you tahu the keywords je. And then you will train as according to you lah. And then your training will become authentically you. Boleh? Alright. So far, any question on this? Are we good? Okay, so bila kita belajar pun sama So whenever kita go for a learning session ke, go for a training ke, even this mastery lah, you come, kita pun again pasang niat. What, macam sini katalah, tulis. What is it you want to get out of this? And what is the intended outcome you want to get for yourself? Boleh Alright, awesome. And one of the intention, if I may, I nak you all also have this niat, is to pasang intention to support one another in becoming the best trainer ever. Boleh? So that's kita akan set the rules of the game lah. Boleh So are we good on this? Can we proceed? Alright.
Yes.
So this is kita declare our intention. Now, let's take a look at the rules of the game for this mastery. Sebab tu kita punya mastery ni, if you want to create anything, I always believe that kita kena set rules upfront. Or kita contextualize our mastery ni supaya when we do things in the future, dia akan pemudahkan sikit lagi kita punya perjalanan. Alright. So, in absence of rules, people will create their own rules. Betul-betul? Alright, so now we are going to create the rules of the BNI, this KVS punya mastery session lah. Okay. Some of this rule I will put in place. Some of the rules you guys pun boleh add in juga. Okay. Alright. So rule number 1 is that I nak ikut BNI system. Attendance is compulsory. Sebab again, if you were to miss any of the session, you tak boleh follow the next session. Fair to say tak? Whatever I share with you now, whoever miss whatever I share tadi, kalau dia masuk halfway, dia tak faham dah. Fair to say? Alright, so that's why attendance is compulsory. If you're not able to attend, katakan memang terdesak tak boleh attend kita punya sesi ni. My request is that you declare to the room up front and request for support so that kita shift. Supaya everybody gets the opportunity to attend. Boleh? But don't do it too often lah. Okay? Alright. So my second request is that since this is going to be a tempat yang di mana kita akan sentiasa bagi feedback to one another, so we do require everybody to give feedback for one another. But when you give feedback, always speak with good intentions. Bermaksud bila kita bagi feedback ke, kita bagi pendapat ke, it's always dengan niat bukan nak menjatuhkan orang lain, bukan nak mengaibkan orang lain. Right? It's always in the niat to support. So maybe sometimes kita can be seen as criticizing ke, kita can be seen as nak condemn orang ke. Kita tak macam tu. Kita nak, when you do that, is in the interest to support the other person. So choose your words wisely. Because sometimes niat kita memang baik, tapi the intention atau because kita tak choose our words wisely, it can be seen as condescending. It can be seen as we are actually mengaibkan orang. Clear? Because as a trainer, it's also a very good, it's a very important practice. Sebab when you are conducting facilitation especially, we always have to be in the space where kita tidak condescend anybody lah, or kita tidak invalidate anybody. Faham Invalidation? Invalidation bermaksud kita make them wrong. So what one of the things yang kita akan be catching you a lot on, or kita akan train a lot on, is the right and wrong conversation. So kita tak nak ada conversation di mana aku betul kau salah, ni betul. We do not want to have that conversation. Alright? So it's not about being right or wrong. Boleh So bila kita have that right or wrong conversation, then our conversation is very judgmental. Setuju tak? Jadi macam politician kan, ada right or wrong. Sebab tu politician setengah orang suka, setengah tak suka. Kan? So we do not want to have that judgmental punya being lah as a trainer. Kita kena sentiasa flat. So the conversation is always tak ada kena dengan right or wrong. Boleh contohlah, katakan kalau you were to share a story about someone. Oh, dia ni buat jahat. And then kita bercakap, dia jahat. Orang ni baik. That is already macam putting a judgment. Fair to say? Alright. So far, you boleh follow ke?
Boleh.
Okay. I nak break, I nak cerita sikit. Ada one session, ada one time ni, we attended this, myself and Sherina, we attended this mentoring session lah with one of our mentor. One of our mentor ni nama dia Dame DC Cordova. Alright. So we were talking about integrity. When we talk about integrity, fair to say tak, banyak orang akan cakap integrity ni it should be like this. It should be benda baik-baik je. Kalau kau buat benda jahat, means you're out of integrity. Betul tak? Biasanya lah kan, the conversation is always like that. So contohlah kalau orang tu curi duit, dia kata, oh you're out of integrity, kau pergi curi duit. Alright? But when we have that kind of a conversation, kita dah actually put a judgment. Setuju?
You.
Alright, so this is what dia kata kat I. Dia share kita lah. Imagine this person. Dia bangun pagi-pagi. Dia memang jahat lah. I mean, dia punya being he's a thief, a murderer. He is orang yang, a psychopath. Someone like that. Okay, imagine someone like that. So, dia bangun pagi. In his mind, dia dah macam, tak sedap hati, dia dah pasang niat. I want to kill someone. Today. And then by the end of the day, he was not able to kill someone. That person, kalau ikutkan the concept of integrity, dia dah out of integrity with himself. Faham tak? So adakah orang ni betul atau salah by not committing a murder?
Betul.
Dia tak commit a murder, by his standard dia dah tak betul lah. Sebab he is out of integrity with himself. Sebab dia punya being tu memang macam tu. You faham tak?
So you're saying that kalau macam being dia memang jahat, is okay to do wrong, is it?
I'm not saying it's okay to do wrong. I'm saying that he himself has been out of integrity with himself. Not with the society, with himself.
I bantu apa ni? I bantu. Boleh so the conversation is what is integrity and what is being in integrity and what is being out of integrity. So integrity ni, the conversation is not a conversation of right or wrong, good or bad. Dia tak ada that conversation. That conversation of baik, jahat, betul, salah tu is not in the tak ada dalam integrity. That conversation you jangan pakai. You yang baik, tak baik semua, pure, unpure, semua tak ada. The word of integrity tu ialah berdasarkan jati diri dia dan niat dia. Dia punya cara kehidupan dia. It's your worldview, it's your lifestyle, it's your culture, it's yours. Apa caralah upbringing kita semua. So kita punya cara pemandangan kita tu, itu adalah cara kita faham keadaan yang terbaik untuk kita. Integrity, what I have to do and what I don't have to do. What's good for me, what's not good for me. What works for me, what does not work for me. Macam tu. Itu integrity. So bila conversation tu hari tadi, if I decide in the morning and I decide that I want to strangle someone today, and I wake up and I strangle a child to death, I am out of integrity with the community. Betul tak? I'm completely out of integrity with the community, but I'm completely in integrity with myself.
Sebab you fulfill apa yang you achieve, yang you set untuk buat lah kiranya.
Sebab dalam hidup I, itulah yang kena buat. Dalam kepala I, itulah yang kena buat. It works for me. It works for me. It works in my logic, in my world. It works for me. So I'm in integrity with myself against strangle child. Okay lah. Lepas tu bila I strangle, I tak rasa apa-apa. Sebab tu kita ada psychopath. Lepas tu because they are very in integrity. Kita tengok, kita kenapa jadi gila buat kerja ni? Kenapa? And they happy sangat. Yeay, I dah buat. And you go like, why? Gila orang ni. Dia tak gila. Dia in integrity dengan diri sendiri. Whatever world he belongs to. Now that's taking away of the idea of being wrong or right. Just the conversation to rationalize the word, to understand the word integrity tu. So bila kita cakap, referral partner ni, tanpa memahami, dia ni memang macam pemalas nak mampus lah, datang. So kan, kita rasa dia out of integrity. By the chapter standard, he's out of integrity lah. Kita dah ada perjanjian. We have our own perjanjian. So he's out of integrity or she's out of integrity. Tapi pada diri dia, apa pula salah? Aku datang ke, tak datang ke, aku sibuk, aku kacau siapa? Aku tak kacau siapa pun. Aku kacau diri aku sendiri je. So dia completely in integrity with himself. So that's the conversation lah.
Right. So the intention is nak bawa ke sini ialah as a trainer, as a leader in front of the room, kita don't pass judgments. Itu je. So whenever we speak kita bagi feedback, it's not to pass judgment punya in the sense of niat nak pass judgment. It's more to niat nak support. Lepas tu clear? Right. So deep sikit Okay. Next. You want to add anything else, Shirin?
Sekejap, kita buka open the floor lah.
Okay, one more thing. Bila kita nak, ini in the same context so bermaksud bila kita bagi feedback, it's always in this manner Alright. Kita give corrections without invalidation. Okay, bermaksud kalau kita
Can you
nak
give an
bagi,
example?
kalau kita nak bagi feedback kepada kawan-kawan, fair to say tak, we are in a state di mana kita sentiasa perlu feedback. Kan? Sebab kita tak sempurna manusia ni. So we always need people to give us feedback. Tapi bila kita nak bagi feedback orang tu, kita jangan invalidate dia. Jangan jatuh-jatuhkan dia. Pak tu okey?
Kalau bahasa Melayu, jangan tiu dia lah.
Jangan aibkan dia lah basically. Jangan jatuhkan air muka dia. Jangan malukan dia. Tapi kita bagi feedback sincere, tapi kita jangan kita jaga, kita kena be careful of that part. Sebab kita nak kita punya team ni supaya you all boleh rasa selamat tau, feel safe, feel secure that you can do whatever mistakes ke, you can do whatever. You tahu yang you punya friends dalam ni will not pass a judgment and they will correct you without invalidating you. Bermaksud they will give you correction, bagi feedback sebab dia sayang kat you. Okay? This is my request lah. Boleh?
Apa ni, pernah dengar tak character assassination? So invalidating is character assassination. Contoh I bagi feedback. Alik, aku tak suka lah kau ni, kau ni kau bercakap macam kau terror. Kau cakap macam kau lah kat atas sangat. Cuma kalau kau cakap tu kau cakap macam humble sikit. That is invalidation. You are attacking him. Aku tak suka cakap kau. Kau cakap macam kau terror. So you're attacking dia. Instead you can say, may I give you a feedback on your intonation. So you kasih feedback apa? Ke intonation. Bukan dekat Ali. Intonation dia. Sometimes I feel the intonation you use makes me feel smaller than I deserve. I feel small. So perhaps, you know, a little bit of work on listening to the way you deliver your intonation so that it becomes friendlier to the listener. So you cakap pasal intonasi, you tak cakap pasal dia.
Alright, okay. So again, if we were to catch anybody doing this, kita be open to apa? Kita be open and receptive. Boleh?
Okay.
Alright, so we be open and receptive. Contoh, sometimes we may need practice to be able to give feedback without invalidating. But if we do macam terdengar someone invalidate any person, kita we will apa? Point that out. Boleh? Okay, and sometimes things can get heaty. InsyaAllah tak. But sometimes in event it gets heaty, you kena resolve your dispute within 24 hours
30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay. Si I bagi Chan, saya kata tak bagi Chan.
24 jam nanti dia pendam. 30 minit.
Alright. So, if there is any dispute, katakanlah we on a debated topic, I tak agree dengan Shirin tak agree dengan I. So we got into a dispute. Memang dah panas sangat. So whatever dispute kita ada, some of us will call on it and we will get you, put you in a breakout room ke apa, you kena resolve within 30 minutes. Get clear. Say what you have to say and then finish. Lepas tu kita let go. Yeah, we in other terms macam those yang pernah attend our power kita kata kita wish it away. Kita just let it go. Boleh?
Boleh.
Alright. Okay. Okay, I'm done. Anybody else want to add to your rules of the game? Because you all yang nak main game ni. You are participants in this game, so you have the option to actually add in.
I nak tanyalah, ni tak ada kaitan dengan dia punya rules tau. Just nak out of curiosity lah. Kita dalam kumpulan ni ada berapa orang
Berapa Kimmie? 1,
7,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Mimi tak masuk
I think Kimmie extended the invitation. So those who are here lah. Kan?
Okay.
Boleh? Alright. So anybody else nak tambah apa-apa? Ellie?
As for now, good.
Boleh? Shirin, ada anything else? I miss?
Ada satu yang I terfikir daripada power camp tu, honest versus, lupa, ada perkataan honest tu.
Nice versus honesty.
Nice versus honest.
Okay, how do you want to make that a rule?
Do we give feedback based on honest ataupun do we give feedback on adakah kita nak bagi feedback tu sebab kita nak nak menjadi seorang yang baik di mata ataupun kita nak bagi an honest feedback, something like that lah. I tak tahu nak letak macam mana.
Itu yang kita letak kat atas ni. So when we do feedbacks, okay, we memang invite you to give honest feedback. But when you give the honest feedback, speak with good intention and do it without invalidating. Boleh? Kita suka honest feedback kan?
I rasa what Ellie wants to say is correct me if I'm wrong, Ellie. I think because I work with Ellie quite a bit. The intention is when you give feedback because you want that person to be better. Don't give feedback, don't waste anybody's time by giving macam feedback yang I just want to be nice. I just want to give feedback so that people like me. I just want to give feedback, so that I'm the good guy in the room macam tu. Get what I mean tak?
Yes, betul, betul.
So
Yes.
give feedback not because you want to be a good guy. Give feedback because you want the excellence lah, the standard of excellence tu. So kadang-kadang orang suka saja je cakap, anybody wants to give feedback, aku actually Azimi, I think your voice is super good today. I think you've groomed yourself so well. I think you did a very good job today. Tak ada kena-mengena pun, tapi nak cakap juga. So that feedback is unnecessary lah. I think that's what. Betul Aili?
It could also be the opposite, like not giving feedback because you don't want to be the bad cop.
The bad guy.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Could be also the opposite. Correct. So be nice.
All right.
Let's give feedback
Awesome.
because you really want.
That's a very good point, Azimi. Apa tu? In our training we call that the kiss of death. So basically, you know something that can help the person, tapi you diam. So in the end, everybody suffers. Pernah dengar tak cerita macam tu?
Tak.
Okay, contoh, I give you an example. You tahu tak yang ada tsunami event yang dekat Aceh tu, yang Aceh kena teruk, Malaysia pun kena teruk kan? Alright, did you know that I think 2 years before that kot, the scientists yang jaga yang put the sort of this tidal wave detection lah.
The buoy.
The buoy tu kan, yang buoy tu all over the ocean tu kan. They tahu for a fact that buoy tu rosak. And they did not do anything about it. Sebab leceh sangat nak tukar. Mahal sangat nak tukar. So they kept quiet. Because they kept quiet, berapa orang mati? Itu kita panggil case of death tu. So samalah macam in our organisation kan. Sometimes kita nampak kita punya staff, they know there's something wrong with the business. Tapi dia senyap, dia tak berani cakap. Sebab tak kena marah. But then, that thing happened. Then the business suffered. Dia tahu, they're in a position to give the feedback. Tapi dia tak bagi the feedback. They rather be nice and keep quiet. Okay?
So kat mana tu? Apa macam mana nak buat tu?
Apa tu? Itu basically is not the rules lah. That is is something that I think kita akan relook nanti in the future.
Okay.
As one of the steps lah basically. Particularly so bila kita bagi feedback, kita bagi feedback. Jangan simpan sebab kalau kita simpan, we are not being fair to that person. Sebab kita in a position to bantu. So kita bantu. Yeah. Ismail, okay, nak cakap something ke?
Tak, macam kena kental lah, kental.
Jiwa kena kental macam tu.
Jiwa kena kental, betul. But you will see, the more you learn to give feedback, the more you akan be good at giving feedback. Mungkin the first few times kita bagi feedback, terkasar. Mungkin the first few times orang tersentap. But the more kita bagi, and with the correct, proper intention, with the proper practice semua tu, after a while we become very good. We will become very good at giving feedback. And that is where, as a trainer, especially bila kita conduct your 30 seconds weekly presentation, you conduct feature presentation, you kena bagi feedback dekat orang tau. Orang akan present depan tu, dia akan bagi 30 seconds kan. And you nak bagi feedback kat dia. You tak boleh kata, kau pun ni tak best lah, kau cakap macam suara penyet lah. You know, but whatever feedback kita nak bagi kat dia, kita kena make sure it is membina orang tu. Dia bukannya membuat orang tu lagi rasa macam kecil. Alright? Okay, but we can practice here in this mastery group.
Can I share a game? Can I share kalau masa lah Tuan Lee. Ada masa? What's your content?
What game?
Yang kita line up tu. That is one of the most powerful way to give and receive feedback. Yang is macam kental. Nak jadi kental kan? Nak jadi kental. So bila nak jadi kental tu kita kena faham bila orang kasih feedback is not personal. Dia kasih feedback je. Dia bukan nak pantai juga apa ke. Tapi dia kasih feedback, okay? So I went to this simple one is a couple of games, tapi 2 things I want to share with you. I had to line up and I had to look at people who feels out of essence je, out of my presence je, apa orang rasa tau. So kemudian kita face the back and orang akan line up belakang kita. So the first one is line up. Dia ada 5 orang dekat depan tu. Okay, line up dekat orang yang you paling trust. Antara 5 orang ni, siapa yang paling trustworthy? So orang akan line up tau. Okay, sekarang semua pusing. Bila I pusing kan, tak ada orang kat belakang I. So I did not exude a trustworthy essence. I terasa gila tau. Sentap tak? Sentap kot. It's like 50 people in the room and nobody said is lined up behind you. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? You know, and a lot of people felt bad. The people who did not line up behind me, they felt bad, but they were giving me feedback. Okay, nice versus honest. So they were being kind to me sebenarnya, because that was the essence that I was giving out. Dia patah balik pusing. And then dia kata, siapa yang suka dia akan bawa this person home to meet your family. Really likes this person. Like I panjang. So I confused. I jam. You like me, but you don't trust me. I is jam. But this is feedback. So you get to learn sikit. So this is what it means by kekentalan tau Isma. Dia bila somebody is giving you feedback, dia bukan nak sakit hati you. Some people yang tak beratur tu came to me and cakap, Shirin, I hope you jangan terasa dengan I tak beratur belakang you, tapi aku cerita kau boleh. Dan dia kasih I satu karakter dalam hidup dia yang perangai dia macam I. Perangai dia macam I, tapi pernah kecewakan dia and telah create distrust. So bila dia nampak I, dia dapat orang tu. So it's not me tau. It's that person. So that was the first thing I realized, that feedback is not personal.
Okay, alright. So bila kita bagi feedback, again, we don't take anything personally. Boleh? Okay, so basically kita just baru set the rules of the game je ni. Tak start lagi pun. Alright. Okay, so this particular mastery, kita nak buat every berapa minggu Kimmie?
2 minggu sekali.
2 minggu sekali. Okay, kita buat 2 minggu sekali and we will put a timeline to it lah basically. So it will not go on forever. There will be a limit. Okay, once kita dah achieve kita punya 10th session ni, then kita tengok play by ear. Boleh? Alright, so kita target nak buat ni berapa session hari tu kita kata Kimmie? Tak ingat dah.
Untuk hari 9 cakap.
9. 8. Biasa 8.
Oh, dia diskaun lah.
9 ke 8.
Dengar macam hari tu you kata 12 session.
Andai je korang ni.
Sekejap, I ada tulis somewhere jap.
Azmi tolong sahkan.
Betul. 12 session.
Apa, teruskan.
Alright. Kita nak put rules begini. It's by weekly by weekly 12 sessions 12 lah. Okay, boleh 12 sessions. Alright. Okay, then throughout the session ni kita akan buat exercise, and bila kita buat exercise kita akan come back, kita akan review, kita akan do a couple of things. Boleh? Alright, so partly this is more on the context of being a trainer, not the content sangat. So content yang in terms of delivering BNI content tu biasanya kita buat during the mock-up session, which you guys will be doing jugalah. But this one is more on the being the trainer itself, or being the leader in front of the room itself. Boleh? Okay, shall we begin? Lepas 5 minit baru start. Alright, awesome. So, now kita nak start. Now we can take a deep breath. Okay, now macam I mention tadi lah, kita nak cover two aspect of the being a trainer. One is the technical aspect, the other one is the beingness aspect. So kita start with something simpler first, which is the technical part. The technical part is always the easiest. So I will share some tips of being on macam mana you nak conduct training online. Boleh? Okay. So bila kita assess our trainers pun, kita tengok all this technical punya issue, this technical punya points lah. Boleh Alright. So kita cakap trainer tips. Okay, the first one. Whenever you conduct a training, especially online. Okay. Yang paling penting ialah you punya mata. You kena keep your eyes kat mana?
Camera.
That's right. Keep your eyes on the camera, not on your screen. Okay. Nampak tak? When I look at the camera, I am looking at you. I'm talking to you. Tapi kalau I tengok kat screen, you nampak I punya kepala. You tak nampak I talking to you. So dia dah jadi macam impersonal dah. Betul tak? Sebenarnya deliver content macam ni is more personal. Kalau macam ni, dia dah disconnect. Okay? Cool? Right, so that's number 1. Number 2. When you're interacting dengan your audience, katakanlah you minta macam you see Kimmie doing this, you have seen Sherin doing this, you have seen Ellie doing this kan. Whenever dia minta participant to chat on the room, dia akan acknowledge audience punya response. Okay, why do you think we do that?
Getting attention.
Nice, getting attention. Some more. Kenapa pentingnya? Engagement, that's right. You perasan tak, orang suka bila nama dia sebut? Betul tak Fatimah?
Betul.
Okay, betul tak?
Betul.
Especially bila bilik tu ramai orang, 100 orang, tiba-tiba trainer sebut nama you, Azimi. You tak rasa macam, dia sebut nama aku lah. Subconsciously semua orang suka. Betul tak? Especially if they to mention your name in a good light. Kan? So whenever you have opportunity to sebut nama orang, you sebut nama orang. Boleh? Alright, so kalau you kata, siapa di sini pernah datang BNI training sebelum ni? Ingat tak Romzi punya script previously? And then orang akan type, dia kata type satu in the chat room, type satu, then dia akan acknowledge. Terima kasih Ellie, terima kasih Kimmie. Oh, terima kasih. You nampak you chat room going up, you just acknowledge nama tu. You just mention their name, you catch whatever name you can catch. Boleh?
Boleh.
Alright. Next is once a while you randomly call their names. Betul tak Ellie? Ellie okay? Kimmie, are you good? Macam tu lah. Lebih kurang. Okay. So don't do it too often, but just nice. Why you're doing that is because you nak show the audience in the room that their names akan be called out at any time. It's random. So they have to be macam prepared. So a lot of people, dia tak suka be caught off guard. Betul tak?
Betul.
Kan Syukri? You nak bila orang panggil you dah prepare dah. You tahu apa cakap. Supaya you look good.
Betul.
So if you always call their name atau call the audience punya name and minta dia punya response, everybody akan pay attention. Sebab dia tahu dia mungkin kena. So as a trainer, you kena main this game lah. Okay, cool Azimi? Alright. What else do you think? Some trainer tips. Kalau Kimmie, if you have any, do jump in. And then for you to online training ni dia boring tau sebenarnya. Setuju tak? Bila kita buat a close session macam ni, it's easier to engage everybody. Tapi bila training tu besar, macam BNI training kan, 20 people, 30 people, 50 people in the room, sometimes MSP 100 people in the room. How are you going to engage with everybody? That is when kita guna pakai a lot of this chat room. Kita akan cakap something, kita minta, kita demand their response. So use the chat room. Okay, yeah. If you okay so far, just type okay in the chat room. If you can follow me, please type okay in the chat room. Okay, thank you Azimi, thank you Ismat, thank you Ellie. Shukri, are you okay? Okay, thank you Kimmie. Gitulah lebih kurang. Okay, you acknowledge their response and you use the chat room. Are you cool? You buat macam ni if you can see that you guys are cool. Alright, awesome. That's another way to engage lah.
Just a quick question. Sebelum PKP, sebelum COVID ni kan, kalau MSP punya training tu semua physical ke online juga?
Physical.
Physical. Okay.
Yep.
So it'll be a bit different lah. Physical training as well as online training will be a different.
Content wise lebih kurang sama. The essence is the same. Cuma the delivery is a bit different. Sebab tu actually come again?
Kalau physical training kita tak ada use the chat room. So kita ganti dengan apa?
Okay, kalau macam physical kita ganti dengan dia respond. Macam contoh, how many of you here are BNI member? Please raise your hand. Dan dia akan angkat tangan. So we use that kind of body language lah, a lot of that. Please give a high five to your friend next to you. Then give a high five. So we do a lot of that in the physical punya ni. So once kita dah go physical, we can have another mastery session for physical training pula. Physical training dia lain sikit. Dia ada juga as a trainer, where do you stand in the room when you deliver? Where you should stand, where you should when you talk to someone, adalah dia punya teknik berdiri tu. Okay? Alright. Physical lagi best sebenarnya. We have done some physical exercise before this kan, dekat tinker table. For those yang pernah ingat. Kita buat exercise command, kita buat exercise. Ellie, were you there? All those kind of things. Okay. So physical lain sikit. Alright, so you can also use gestures to engage. So you get them to to follow you lah. Macam if the room is big, I akan cakap, can we give them a Zoom clap? Please do this. Come on everybody, come on, give them a Zoom clap. Right. Dia akan buat. So when you use gestures macam tu, then people they engage with you, they participate with you. So you play with them. Boleh? Alright. Tapi don't do it too often because then it gets annoying. So you macam space out lah antara chat, gesture, panggil orang to say something. Right? And another one you can do is kalau ada slide where on the screen is points kan, instead of you reading it, you call on someone to read it. Contoh macam kalau ada macam opportunity dekat weekly presentation skill, kan you ada 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You panggil, okay Isma, can I get you to volunteer to read up what's on the screen? Isma boleh ambil, can you share? Alright, macam tu lah, then Isma akan share. Then the moment Isma share, then kita kata everybody, alright, thank you so much Isma, then kita acknowledge. Let's give a big round of applause to Isma. Atau you kata, let's give Isma a big Zoom clap. Whatever lah. Yang Zoom clap ni, I tak tahu mana yang belajar. Tapi it was one of the trainers lah yang duduk pakai Zoom clap ni, sampai sekarang ingat. Boleh Alright. So this is basically some of the things yang kita nak buat supaya our trainings tu is more engaging, is more fun lah in a way. Sebab kita kena ingat, this is the truth of any training any training. I think you all pun akan experience the same thing. Whatever training you attend, fair to say tak, you akan ingat 20% je. Betul tak? you will only remember 20% of the content. But if the training is super good, you will remember the experience. And if you enjoy the experience, you nak pergi balik. Kan? So that's why you tengok, if you have been to, how many of you have been to macam all those, apa, macam those mega training macam Azizan ke, macam Tony Robbins ke, Half Acre ke? Have you been to those kind of trainings tak? Robert Kiyosaki punya training ke?
Tak
You
pernah.
masuk di pasal music, you masuk di pasal a lot of, they play with all your auditory senses tau. Bila you keluar training tu, you get on such a high. Have you been in any of that training? Kimmie pernah pergi, Kimmie? I'm sure Kimmie pernah pergi kan?
Yep.
Kau tak pernah pergi Azizan punya training? Aku tak pernah pergi Azizan punya training, tapi I tahu for a fact that's how he conducts it. Because it's the same technique, same tricks, all those trainer yang hebat-hebat pakai. Okay, they play with the experience. So that's why bila dia buat another round of that of the punya session, orang akan datang balik. Sebab they want to feel back the experience. Cool? Alright. Okay. So these are basically a few tips lah that I can share with you currently. These are the techniques. Tapi ni kalau kita tengok in the sense of kita conduct training yang ada orang, Zoom macam ni lah, kan? But sometimes kalau kita nak develop our training skills, boleh tak kita develop tanpa apa, visual, audio je? Possible tak you rasa for us to conduct training without any video?
Macam Clubhouse tu ke?
Macam Clubhouse. How many of you have attended Clubhouse and you learn something? Pernah? Oh, nice. Okay, bising dah. Ambil you boleh? Alright. Okay, so yang tu kita akan cover in another session lah, boleh Okay. So far anything to add? Kimmie, do you have anything to add?
Play music at the starting point.
Cool. Play music. Kenapa kita play music?
Set the tone and also to avoid any awkward silence.
Awesome, that's right. Kita set the tone, kita awkward the silence, plus the music sort of sets the mood. Kan? It sets the mood of your training. Betul tak? So do play music. If you have the opportunity to, macam myself, I tak pandai sangat pakai this Zoom. So if I know I tak pandai sangat pakai Zoom, I will get people like Romzi ke, people like someone yang pandai pakai Zoom to manage the music for me. So that's why BNI KVS nanti, bila kita nak buat kita punya training, kita ada satu trainer yang akan fokus on the training sahaja, and kita akan ada another logistics team, the technical team. The technical team akan support in terms of the room, the music, the slides, the audience, the muting, the whatever lah. Dia macam Clubhouse moderator lah basically. Dia jaga the trainer. So trainer masuk, trainer fokus on delivery je. But the room punya environment, the logistik yang akan jaga. Boleh? Okay, that's why macam kita tengok hari tu Romzi punya training BNIC, bagi perasan, masa tengah-tengah training tiba-tiba ada orang cakap on the phone. Kita cakap kuat, kelakar lah tu. And then it diverts the attention away from trainer. Okay, so as a co-trainer atau as a orang yang menjaga bilik tu, kita kena cepat-cepat mute kan. Boleh Macam Romzi punya case happen twice, bukan sekali, twice. And then Romzi pun dah panic lepas tu.
Logistik team berapa orang?
For Zoom, I would say seorang cukup kot minimum. But if we do,
It depends. Kalau macam it depends on you as a trainer, who you want. Because kalau you nak, kalau you punya training tu banyak stop to do notation ke, kena buat quizzes ke apa ke, there's a lot of requirement for music. So someone take care of the music. So someone has to take care of the time. Kalau ada macam jaga masa kan, someone jaga masa, music. Lepas tu ada juga nak jaga muting orang masuk keluar. So it's really like keselesaan trainer tu lah. Macam kalau I one or two be nice dah, because it takes care of the harmony of the room. It's really kita kena decide nanti as a team what's good for us.
So this kind of tip pun kita akan actually take a look jugalah in terms of the technical juga. Macam mana kita nak buat our training lagi best. Okay, how to make it more fun. And training ni kita kena end with the bang. How do we end the training with the bang? Which means kita start on a high, kita end on a high. So again, music plays a big role in that. Boleh? Okay, awesome. Berapa sekarang? It's 10:10. Okay. Ya.
So another trainer tips yang mungkin kita boleh tambah baik adalah dress well. Mungkin tadi Azimi pun nak pakai suit dah tu. Kita boleh. Kalau perempuan tu make up macam tu.
Dress well. Okay. Kenapa pentingnya kita dress well? Especially kalau kita conduct in BNI setting lah. Why do we dress well? I rasa it's important to know the reason behind it, and then so when we do it, then kita is congruent dengan kita tau. So kita tak adalah buat kerana memaksa. Why do you think it's important to dress well?
It shows that you respect yourself.
Come again?
It shows that you respect yourself.
Awesome. I like that answer. Betul. Satu, it shows that you respect yourself. Nombor dua, it also shows that you take the pain to respect the audience. Betul tak? So subconsciously, kita akan lebih hormat orang yang dress well. Sebab kita tahu, it takes effort to be dressed well. Kan? Apa lagi? What else do you think? Trainer tips. Okay, as a trainer, katakan you ada a specific content you nak deliver kan? Okay, macam sekarang ni BNI content, BNI trainings are all 2 hours. How do you make sure you end on time?
Ada jam depan mata.
Alright, jam depan mata. But how do you make sure you boleh cover everything ngam-ngam, tak tercepat, tak terlambat?
Rehearse.
Awesome. Lagi. What's the best way?
Letak masa dekat slide.
Slide tu.
Kena cakap panggil Kak Ziana. Ting ting.
So you put your timing on the slide. So you tahu whether you are too fast or too slow dah. Sometimes if you are too fast, you ada banyak masa, then that's where you can keluarkan cerita pula. Cool? Alright, let me take my notes. Okay, and I always like to do this. Whenever you conduct training, sometimes you add a few nuggets. Add nuggets here and there. I'm not sure some of you ada kot masa I bagi this feedback masa time Rumzi tu, or the first other trainers. So what I mean by nuggets is you just share with them some trivia, some trivia knowledge or something yang extra. Dia tak ada content tu, tapi dia macam extra nugget. Because these are the things sometimes, this is what audience akan bawa balik. Macam contoh, hari tu, Kimmie did a weekly presentation lah, Kimmie?
Yes.
Okay, weekly ke feature? Feature.
Oh, sorry, feature.
Kimmie did a content of feature presentation. So masa dia buat training dia tu, then he found out dia banyak masa. And then he shared a bit of nugget, the presentation tips. Apa 3P? Kau jadi orang Kimmie?
Yes.
3P. And then masa feedback tu kan, Itu je orang ingat. Padahal benda tu bukan BNI content pun. But that is what they create an impact kepada orang yang terima ilmu tu. And forever dia akan ingat Kimmie for that. Betul tak? Pernah tak you attend any training, dia ajar benda lain, tapi dia cakap pasal benda lain. Dia macam sort of macam the icing lah. And then you remember that trainer for that icing tu. As a leader pun sama. This is where leaders, they cakap pasal something, and then they drop a quote. And then they will be remembered for that quote, that nugget dibagi tu. Cool? Alright, so where do you get nuggets? Macam mana kita mau dapat nuggets ni?
Google podcast.
Google podcast. Okay, basically the answer is apa tau? As a trainer, we need to be a learner. So the more you attend training orang, the more nuggets you'll pick up. And this is where you recycle je lah nuggets tu. And sometimes you akan olah your own based on all the books you read, based on all the training you attend, you akan come up with your own. But for you to be able to do that, we need to be a learner juga. Setuju tak? We need to be well read. Okay? If you malas baca, dekat BNI banyak gila podcast. Dengar je podcast tu. You will pick up 1 or 2 nuggets from the podcast. And you share balik je. Boleh? Alright. Shirin, ada any tips kena add?
Stories.
Oh.
Stories are very important. And stories are very important. Usually we tell stories when we start as a trainer. When I started as a trainer, I selalu guna pakai cerita orang. Because when I started, I punya leadership pun macam tahu jagung. I punya perjalanan dalam training pun baru beberapa bulan. So I cut impatience lah cedok. I cedok tapi I pilih tau. I pilih cerita yang impact dia memang masuk jiwa tu. You can cek cerita yang memang give impact. Depending on your audience lah. Itu yang penting juga, you kena faham audience you. Second, lepas tu as I mature into my role, into my business and into my position semua tu, I have my own experience. When you are willing to be vulnerable, penting your audience is only willing to go as far as you are willing to go. Sejauh mana you sanggup connect dengan you punya audience. How far you willing. The further you go, the further they'll go with you. So to connect with them, so the more vulnerable you are, the more human you become. The more human you become, the more willing they are to accept your teaching. Apa yang sampaikan lah. Sebab bila kita vulnerable, dia tunjukkan masalah you pun masalah I. Apa you alami, I pun pernah alami. You susah pun I pernah susah. I faham. So bila you tunjuk you pernah berada dalam situ dia, so dia tahu you faham. Jadi bila you kongsi dengan dia rasa the authenticity of your content tu dekat dengan hati dia. Itu penting. Stories are very important. You can start by sharing people's stories, but progressively share your own and be okay to be vulnerable.
Alright, so stories is one exercise lah kita akan buat nanti. Alright, so you guys tell story to ourselves here later in this room, and then kita bagi feedback about your storytelling abilities. Boleh? Alright, awesome. Alright, so basically kita start slowly, ingredient. Okay, kita start sikit, and as we progress, then kita akan lebih rancak, lebih go in depth. Boleh? So kita tak nak overwhelm you all sangat, okay? So kita faham, this is not your full-time job, except for Kimmie. Okay, for most of you, this is not your full-time job. Okay, you're not a professional trainer, okay? Again, except for Kimmie lah. Some of you are aspiring to be a professional trainer. Okay, it's good. So again, kita cover, most importantly, kita punya rules of the game. I akan share balik. One thing kita cover is intention and intended outcome, rules of the game, and some trainer tips. Okay, so this is the beingness. This is the technical. Kita cover for today. Boleh? All good? Alright. Okay. And then there's one exercise yang I nak also apply in this room. So whenever kita start a training atau whenever kita end a training, kita end with this exercise. We call it apa agaknya? Okay. We call this exercise what I feel like saying. Alright. So the exercise goes like this. Bila kita start training, kita akan begin with what I feel like saying. So the idea is to be present to the room and to be complete once we are done. And once I'm done saying what I feel like saying, I can pass it to someone else in the room, and then you will say what I feel like saying. Now the intention is to feel tau, bukan to think. So you can say whatever you feel like saying. It may not be kena mengena pun dengan the training atau whatever context kita ada malam ni. It's just what's in your heart right now. All good?
Yeah.
Alright, awesome.
Bagi contoh at least you start.
Okay, so what I feel like saying now is I'm super tired sebenarnya. I've been on my seat here daripada pagi sampai petang, back to back, and my bum is hurting. So lepas ni I nak minta Shereen urut I punya belakang sikit, boleh tak? So that's what I feel like saying.
Bahaya tu. You said bum.
So what do you feel like saying, Shereen?
Okay, thank you, Tuan Adli. So that's another way. After some, you will pass it around. What do you feel like saying? Then you pass the buck, and orang yang menerima tu akan kata thank you, Tuan Adli. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tuan Adli. What I feel like saying is interesting session today. I had so much fun. Re-listening and revisiting my own learning. So thank you, Ali, for that crash course. And also I got my second jab today. So I crashed, feeling literally exhausted. Tak tidur je. So that's probably what I'm going to do right after this. Find my bantal and tidur. So one at least gonna have to wait for tomorrow for your massage. That's what I feel like saying. Apa ya? Kimmie, what do you feel like saying?
Thank you, Madam Shereen. What I feel like saying is quite excited for this session because it has been like I think 3 months plan for this, and I wish that this session can brings a lot of benefits to trainers and becoming trainers, and I like the ideas of storytelling. Thank you, Madam Shereen. Itu yang nak kena kuatkan lagi kot dalam penyampaian saya. Thank you. So I pass the baton to Ismail.
Thank you. Terima kasih Tuan Kimmie. Abaikan kebisingan ya, maafkan saya. So sekarang ni I feel like exciting of course. Cuma I tak pasti sama ada this is the right path for me, for my journey, whether in BNI ataupun in my business ataupun in my life. But terima kasih Kimmie for inviting me into this. I memang suka bercakap. Cuma sebelum ni maybe I tak ada tempat untuk I luahkan apa yang I nak. So Kimmie membuka jalan. So I hope I can give some, orang kata apa, sumbangan sumbangan or whatsoever. So same thing, memang I sangat-sangat tired. Lepas tu nak tidur. Thank you. So I'll pass the button to Kak Ellie.
Thank you. Terima kasih Isma. What I feel like saying is sebenarnya saya tak nak keluar daripada clubhouse tu lagi, tetapi kerana saya dah berjanji untuk masuk pada hari ini, so I'm here today. So actually I think that it is quite fun to see clubhouse tu berjalan sehingga pukul 9.30 rasanya tadi. So
Wow.
dia habis lambat sikit, so it's quite good sebab ada orang cover tadi. Alhamdulillah. Jadi I would like to pass the baton to Fatima.
Okay, thank you, Ellie. sebenarnya I'm so tired. Tadi masa you all bercakap, I dah muak berapa kali dah. I kena baca 3 case, I kena siapkan hujahan, nak kena submit tomorrow morning. Mungkin I tidur dalam 2-3 jam je kot. Mungkin I have to stay up the whole night lah. Okay, I pass the baton to Romzi. Romzi ada ke?
Ada, terima kasih Kak Fatimawati. What I feel like saying today is excited sebenarnya yang ni, tapi sebenarnya sekarang ni dalam program lain tengah dengar tazkirah tentang erti kehidupan bersama dengan Dr. Abdul Rahman, pensyarah daripada UKM. So telinga kanan dengar tazkirah, telinga kiri dengar mastery ni. InsyaAllah the next 2 week nanti saya akan fokus ke sini juga. Sebab program tazkirah kita orang ni sebulan sekali kita buat. Terima kasih. Dan saya nak pass ke Syukri.
Alright, okay. Sekejap. So basically, I'm very honored lah to be here tonight. Ada Tuan Adli, ada Madam Shirin apa semua. Dan saya berharap akan dapat lebih banyak ilmu lagi. Memang saya suka sangat belajar. And after I learn, I would love to pass this to our fellow referral partners dekat dalam KBS, insyaAllah. Ada orang lagi ke yang belum? Kak Eli tak?
Azimi.
Okay, sorry Azimi.
Tak apa.
Silakan.
I feel like saying very excited that besok hari Jumaat, one day closer to the weekend. But besides that, I'm also excited for this program sebab I'm always open to opportunities, and in the back of my mind memang training has always been something that I've always wondered if I would be capable of doing. So thank you pada Kimmie for inviting me juga lah. Itu je. Terima kasih.
Alright, thank you Azimi. So any bonus? Anybody ada anything yang dia nak keluarkan daripada dia punya hati nak cakap sekarang ni? Ada any last thing? Right. Okay, so once we are done, what we do is we do a whoosh. So basically kita let go. And how we do that is kita put our hands up to the screen, boleh? And just shake it around, shake it. And in one swift motion kita go like whoosh, boleh? Alright, let's try again. So when we say let's whoosh it, kita put our hands up front. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. Alright. Thank you guys. Nanti kita akan share the science behind this whoosh pula. Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you again next
Thank
week.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, Tuan Adli.
Bye.
Others.
Bye everybody. Bye.
Yap, alamak ambil gambar.
Tak ada gambar
Ada lagi. Sekejap.
Saya akan main malam. I'm creating a group now. Nanti I akan masukkan you guys dalam group. Alright, jom.
Kamis
Ustaz Azimi dah keluar.
Yang 2 minggu sekali tu kan?
Betul. Okay, tak apa. Nanti kita edit gambar Azimi. 1, 2, 3. Alright, thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Fatimah, Syukri, Karomzi, Kimmie.
Bye everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Selamat tidur Kak. Dah hilang.
Dah pergi tidur. Tadi bunyi apa? Macam bunyi mesin ada, bunyi kipas ada.
Itu tak?